Welcome to the latest Papal Profiles. This week, we look at the disastrous papacy of Boniface VIII, who gambled and lost when he sought to dictate terms to the King of France. A brief background to set the context. The Gascon or Anglo-French War of 1294 to 1303 was fought between England's Edward I and France's Philip IV over the Angevin Empire lands in continental France. Both sides were taxing the church to pay for the war, over which Boniface objected. In 1296, Boniface issued a bull, Clericis Laicos, which threatened excommunication for any sovereign who demanded taxes from the church and for any cleric who paid the tax. This bull empowered clerics to defy the orders of their rightful kings, which by implication meant that sovereigns were denied authority within their kingdoms if they could be dictated to by a foreign authority in Rome. Naturally, Philip did not take kindly to this attitude and responded by stopping French exports of financial instruments such as precious metals and stones. The Pope, reliant on French revenues for his own administration, initially responded resentfully that he would rather go down with the ship than to concede the prerogatives of the church. Facing mounting opposition at home for his nepotism by the powerful Roman Colonna family, two of whom were cardinals, Boniface relented by the summer of 1297. He issued another bull rescinding his earlier threats, stating that in an emergency the king could tax and the clergy could pay without the Pope's consent. This was not the end of political confrontations between the two men, as in 1301 Philip arrested, tried, and imprisoned a French bishop for heresy, blasphemy, and treason. In previous videos, I discussed church forgeries, such as the Constitutum Silvestri and Pseudo-Isidore false decretals, which stated that secular courts could not try bishops. Therefore, Boniface could not let this situation stand, else he would be setting a dangerous precedent that kings had authority over the clergy in their own realms. Invoking his fictional trump card, Boniface issued another bull, Give Ear, My Son, that overflows with the self-serving papal primacy rhetoric of his predecessors, particularly the Gelasian doctrine of two powers, and delivers a patronizing and paternalistic rebuke to Philip. Listen, beloved son, to the precepts of a father, and pay heed to the teachings of a master, who holds the place on earth of him who alone is Lord and Master. God has set us over kings and kingdoms. This, however, was just the opening volley. In 1302, Boniface called a council demanding the attendance of all bishops, but fewer than half of French bishops, all from the south, appeared despite their orders. Consequently, Boniface issued yet another bull, Unum Sanctum, what British historian Brian Tierney refers to as probably the most famous of all documents on church and state from the Middle Ages. Therefore, if the earthly power errs, it shall be judged by the spiritual power. Therefore, we declare, state, define, and pronounce that it is altogether necessary to salvation for every human creature to be subject to the Roman pontiff. Philip rightly regarded this declaration as a dangerous, new, and unprecedented temporal power grab by the papacy. However, the final passage simply asserts the Church's spiritual authority and was irrelevant to the political conflict. Therefore, Tierney believes the real message of the bull was a warning to dissenting bishops who dared to disobey the Pope, not at Philip. The next move in this political chess game was not a rhetorical Cold War of words, but a personal attack on Boniface in 1303, known as the outrage of Anagni. A French minister, Guillaume de Nogaret, along with Sciarra Colonna, led a band of mercenaries to seize the hometown of Boniface, where Boniface was staying, and drafting an excommunication for Philip. It is unclear if Boniface was beaten or not, but according to an eyewitness account by an English lawyer in service to the Bishop of Lincoln, he writes, "And when they pressed him as to whether he would resign the papacy, firmly did he refuse. Indeed, he preferred to lose his head, as he said, 'Here is my neck, and here my head.' Therewith he proclaimed in the presence of them all that as long as life was in him, he would not give up the papacy. Sciarra, indeed, was quite ready to kill him, but he was held back by the others so that no bodily injury was done to the Pope." Unsure of what to do and arguing for days, the delay allowed Boniface's supporters to rally, and he returned to Rome but died shortly after from the shock. With the death of Boniface, the papal court subsequently moved to Avignon under the domination of the French kings for most of the 14th century, but that is a topic for a future video. A few years after Boniface died, Dante released his Divine Comedy, and interestingly, he placed Boniface in the 8th circle of hell of Inferno for his nepotism and the selling of ecclesiastical offices. Dante had good reason to despise Boniface, as the Pope had supported the Black Guelphs, a faction that advocated full papal power over the Whites, who endorsed limited authority. Dante was affiliated with the White Guelphs, who lost power in Florence, which then led to his exile from his beloved republic. It is ironic that Dante condemned Boniface to burn in hell, given that in 1298 Boniface suggested that the punishment for heresy throughout Christendom should be burning at the stake. Thanks for watching. Please check out the other videos on my channel if history is your thing, and see you next time.